Well, hello friends and neighbors. In today's video we've got the second half of the Tolumnia unboxing video where we're actually going to mount them to these little ceramic dishes, which, as I've said, these are just the drip trays or saucers that go underneath the flower pots. I'm going to use this because as you can see, the Tolumnias are quite small. They'll fit on there just fine. And then we also have this dendrobium orchid, which I'm going to take out of this basket and mount to this as well. I'm going to attempt to. Now I'm going to try not to use any moss for the Tolumnias, but I will use a little bit of moss for the dendrobium, because I think it'll probably appreciate a little bit. So before we get there, I just want to really quickly show you how I did this. I mean, a 10-year-old can do it. Now I used some of these sawtooth hangers. You can get them in just about any hardware store. And then I'm using a Gorilla construction adhesive to actually stick them to the ceramics. So the really nice thing about these that I found was they've actually got a little bit of a lip around the outside. So what I was able to do is put it down, and then, you know, your teeth go down, you know, because that's where when you stick it on the wall, that's where the screw's going to sit. And what you're able to do then is to put it on and push it up till the edges of it hit the little rim. So it helps you keep it centered and straight. Now, the original applicator that this came with, which was just a nozzle, didn't come with a cap to put over the nozzles, so I had to remove it, and it's no longer useful. So I think what I can do is take this and see, it fits just perfect. Grab a little glob on each end, just a little glob, and then we are going to stick it down and then make sure that we're on the inside of that lip, and take and hold it for, it says to hold it for 30 seconds. Just follow the instructions. And that's it. That's pretty much all I did, was I put a little bit of adhesive on there underneath each end, and stuck it down, and then I waited 24 hours for it to cure, because that's what the box says to do. If you get it on here, you can just wipe it off just like that. So that's that. Now I've got to give that 24 hours for it to actually cure before I try to hang it to anything. The other video, the first half of this, I filmed yesterday, so it hasn't been that long. So my plan is I've got to get these little guys out of these pots. And I know that they don't like soggy roots, which is why I'm not going to use sphagnum moss. I'm going to try to remember to water these every day, every morning. And hopefully all I'll have to do is soak them really good. And the good thing about this ceramic that we're using is it's porous. So see, there's the little hanger. It's porous, so it will actually hold a little bit of water. It will evaporate it, but it will still hold it a little bit, so it will still stay wet a little longer. It'll stay moist longer, even though it will dry out fairly quick. It'll still hold moisture for a little bit, so I think I don't need any moss, but we'll find out. We will find out together. So I'm gonna stick this little guy into the water, being very sure not to lose the tag. And I finally found my good scissors, so I can oh, I say they're good. Watch them not work. Cut that little tag out. Now I made little labels to put on the wall underneath each one of these, because in my mind it's an exhibit. It's an exhibit in my house. So I actually made these little tags. It's just red lettering with it's on a parchment cardstock that I laminated, that I'm going to put underneath each one on the wall. That way, when you walk up to it, you can actually physically see what the species is. But I'm also going to take these tags that came with it and stick it somehow to the back of the Probably need to laminate these two, but I'm not going to. Throw this away. But we're going to try to stick this on the back somehow. I have some super glue somewhere which would probably work pretty well, but I'm not going to stick those on just yet. I've been kind of racking my brain to try to figure out how to actually to stick these things to this, and because the problem is when you go to try to tighten something around this, it's going to slide because it's circular, it's not square, and it's not like an odd shaped piece of wood. So my thought had been, if I take this thread here, this nylon thread, and I tape it using some of this blue painter's tape, which probably isn't going to stick to that worth a hoot, but we'll see, and try to get it even. Just like that, and go around kind of in the center there and come back and give it a little bit of pressure, and then take that end and cut that loose, and then like before, burn the edge a little bit so it doesn't get frayed. What I'm hoping is that'll give me a little, probably want to put another one on there too. We'll do one a little lower. This one's going to be the harder one because it's going to be lower on the apex of the curve. Okay, then we'll go back around here. I figured that was going to be a problem. So, and all of this tape will be removed as soon as the orchid actually attaches itself firmly to the mount, which just means I'm going to have to look at nasty painter's tape for a while. But, you know, if I can get the orchid the plant to attach itself firmly this way without actually physically having to physically attach the plant to the mount, because I'm afraid if I try to do anything like that, it will damage it, and I don't want to damage the plant, because as you can probably tell by seeing the flowers, these things are precious. I don't want to damage them. I want to give them a leg up, not a kick in the pants, you know. So okay, so there. It's kind of the thought, and then we can just slide the plant in here like this, see, hoping that gives it enough contact with the surface to actually attach itself to it. Now thankfully a lot of these roots are kind of dead, so I don't really have to worry too much of damaging new roots. And there we go. And it actually does have some new roots coming up. So we have to remember this is the new growth, so I'm assuming that the new growth is going to come off of this side. So we want to put it in here like this. Just lightly coax it in here. Like that. And really, I didn't need the one on the bottom. Just the one in the center would hold it just fine. So actually, I'm going to take that one off. Yeah, we'll just take that one off. There. And see, because the plant's not very heavy, it's quite light, even with it being wet, you know, it doesn't require much to hold it up there. But the roots are in good contact with the actual mount itself, and my hook is actually right there, so it'll hang like that. And just to make sure we don't lose the tag and we don't get these mixed up, I'm going to, as I said, I want to attach this a little bit better than this later, but go ahead and attach this to the back. Just, yeah, that would be a good idea if I didn't put it on upside down. But put it on the back, just like that. And then when we hang this on the wall, this is Sunset Brownie. There it is. We'll put this on the wall, and then we will stick this to the wall just underneath it. So I think that's, I think this is gonna work. We'll see. And then, like I said, once the plant actually attaches itself firmly to this, then we can cut the string. So, let's move on to the next one. This one's a little bit bigger. This is a bigger specimen. We'll see. We may have to do this one a little different. I find stuff like this kind of relaxing. You know, sometimes I'm worried about being boring, but then at the same time, when I watch some of my videos back, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of relaxing, I guess. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's houseplants mixed with arts and crafts. Who doesn't like arts and crafts, you know? Ask any 10-year-old. Okay, that one's a little high up there. And I'm gonna go back here and put one on the edge to keep the string from sliding down. There we go. You know, it's very simple, but I think it's going to work quite well. We may have to put another one slightly further down for this one, but this one's actually in a net pot. That other one was in a solid pot. Very carefully pull it out. Now this one has a lot of dead roots, but you know what? I'm not trimming anything. I'm going to put it in there just like it is. Now we just have to figure out, the newest growth is right here. So I probably want to put that facing out. It's on the side, so the roots should still find the mount. Just like that, and push it all the way to the bottom. There we go. Just like that. The wonderful thing about these is it's an epiphyte. It doesn't require anything to plant on. They don't grow on things, they grow in things. So at least that is the operating theory here. So let's cut this other tag out. How's your day been? My day's been alright. You know, working for a living, all that kind of stuff. Doing something I don't necessarily enjoy, but it pays the bills and makes things like this possible. So, hey, you know, you do what you gotta. It has been cold today. I live, I think I've said this before, but I live in Northwest Florida, basically Lower Alabama. I live in the Pensacola area. We'll just say that for simplicity's sake. But it's been kind of cold today, so this I had a package that was delivered today with some, well, with this one in it and another one, and I was so worried all day that it was going to be too cold and that they were going to die. They were going to go into shock because it was so cold. But I got lucky, and the box they were in protected them pretty well. So, you know, yay for that. I can't wait for... I forgot that I had ordered that dendrobium as a blooming size because it's a miniature orchid, and I was like, you know, I don't necessarily feel like waiting for that to bloom. I would like to go ahead and order it blooming size, and so I can enjoy it that much faster. Now the blooms haven't opened yet, and there's no telling whether they will open. They may fail because of the stress of having been moved environments and being changed and being in a different environment than it came from. So that is always a possibility. So that's something to keep in mind if you ever order an orchid that is blooming size and it comes with buds on it. Just keep in mind that it is possible that the blooms it came on may fail because it's coming from a different environment. It's always disappointing when it happens. I'm not saying it's going to, but it is a possibility. It is something to remember. I really hope that it doesn't happen. I hope the plant thrives. I hope it blooms profusely, or however much it wants to, or however much it's genetically programmed to. Because as far as dendrobiums go, that thing is that's so tiny. It's so small. I didn't realize that you could get dendrobiums in a tiny size like that. Most dendrobiums you find are going to be like the Phalaenopsis types, or even bigger than that, or the nobile types, which I do have one. It's a funny story there. I bought a friend of mine a dendrobium, nobile type, big pink and white flowers. It's absolutely beautiful, and she lost hers during some of this cold weather that we've had, but I had luckily taken a kiki from her plant, and actually it was two, or she gave me two kikis from her plant. So the two she gave me are doing great. I mean, they're only about this tall. They're not even anywhere near blooming size yet. But they're growing and they look good. So hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to give her back an orchid, a version of the orchid that I originally gave her. So, okay, so this one is the red. Now this tag says red davil, D-A-V-I-L, but I googled it and it's supposed to be red devil. That's just a typo, and unfortunately I made the tag with the typo, but I'm gonna keep it, I don't care. So when you're mounting these things, the trick is to try to find where the new growth is going to come from, because you don't really ever know. I'm going to assume pardon me, the lights went off again. There we go. That these smaller, that's the new growths. They're on the side. So I want to face the new growths to one side or the other, not towards the back, and not necessarily towards the front either, because if they grow out the front, they're just going to be floating in air, which is okay. I mean, that's kind of how they would be growing naturally anyway. But we will stick it down in here and water them every morning. And hopefully these they will take to their new mounts fairly quickly. I really hope they do. I guess it's just gonna have to go towards the bottom there. I mean, it just is what it is. I would really like this preferred a little further up, but you know, it's just gonna be what it is. We're gonna leave it there. Anyway, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but the main reason I don't want to use sphagnum moss on these is that these roots have adapted to grow with no medium. So I'm afraid if I cover them up with something, I'll have a die-off, and I don't want that. Whereas if I mount them like this, there is no medium, so they don't really have to go through a, they don't have to, oh, what am I trying to say? They don't have to go through a acclimation process as badly as they would if I cover them up with something. Because Tolumnia roots, they're supposed to breathe. They like a lot of air. They like to get, they like to get wet and then to dry out very quickly. They don't like to stay wet. They don't like to be wet for long periods of time. And I'm saying all this as if I'm an expert and that I've grown them before and I've had success with them, but I've just done the research that I have done and the success other people have had following these rules. I'm willing to believe them, and I'm willing to abide by them. So doing it this way, they will dry out fairly quickly. Hopefully, because these aren't, they're naturally small plants anyway, but I don't think they're seedlings. A couple of them have bloomed already. I can see the older bloom spikes. So hopefully they are large enough to where they will bounce back pretty quickly from the stress of having been shipped to a new environment and having to acclimate to the environment itself. I'm hoping that it won't take long before they'll actually start actively growing, and that the roots actively start growing, because the sooner the roots actively start growing, the sooner they will attach themselves to the mounts, and the sooner I can take off this string. Which really, to be honest, the string doesn't look that bad, I don't think. I mean, you won't really be able to see the tape from the back anyway. Oh, you pain. And always a good habit, keep your tag with the plant, especially if you got several, because that was one thing I was worried about, was getting the tags mixed up and not knowing what was what. Alright. This one's got some nice healthy roots. Now if I can just get it out of here without damaging them too badly. Now, see how easy that came out of there? Now, the dunking them in water softens the roots, and it makes them easier it makes them pliable. And it gives them a little bit more of an incentive to unstick themselves from where they have stuck themselves, if they have stuck themselves to anything. So, the new growth on that one is coming right out there. That's the top of my mount. I really kind of want to go sideways with that. And these roots, all of these roots are live on this one. This is a very healthy specimen. Now that I see that, I think I did the wrong thing. This really does need to be like this. Just like that. There we go. All right. So those four went fairly well, fairly smoothly. Now let's see this one. Now this one actually does have active growing roots, which is nice. You always want to see that. Again, we're going to dunk this in here. And there's actually, see how that's wobbling? That's actually a separate plant. That's not even a part of the other, the growing. That is something else. So, and it's actually got a growth point on it. So, I actually got two plants for the price of one. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice. Like I said, I may have said this in this one, or I may have said it in the other one, I don't know. This was one of the first times I've ever bought an orchid from an actual orchid nursery. And I have to say that if you have the choice and you have the ability, I would suggest doing it that way. Well, I mean, I've had nice success with this, so, you know, maybe you will have the same sort of success. Now, this one, I'm not going to put any moss in this. I'm going to lay the moss on top of it and then go around with the string and tape it onto the back. We'll see if I can get that to hold. And then this tiny little one that's in here, I will just I may just stick that on there with it. That seems like that might be a good idea. So small, so pretty. Alright, I'm gonna let that soak a few more minutes because it's actually pretty good and attached to that pot. Okay, let's see if we can coax this out of here without causing too much problem. Oh, and I see what it is. That root right there is grown up. Come on. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Let go. You're going to a better place. I promise. There we go. I like these little net pots. I'm going to have to reuse these. And then this one, like I said, is actually its own separate plant, but we're going to just go ahead and mount it in here. Let's see which side is my hanger on. So the hanger is here. I want this this is where the new growth is coming out, and I'm afraid if I put it on here like this, it will be choked. The new growth will be facing the wrong direction. But maybe not. We'll put it that way. I just don't know. See, it's growing this way. That's the natural way it's growing too. So, well, we'll try that. Okay, so we're gonna put a little bit of this moss on either side. And really, to be honest, this a little bit of moss would probably look good on those too, but as I said, I don't want to. Okay, this one, the new growth is right there. So if we can turn this one like this, just like that, a little bit right here. Okay. Now this is going to be the tricky part. You know, I should have taken the bottom of that first. There, just like that, back across here. Oh. Okay. Okay, so it's a little top heavy here, but the actively growing roots are facing the mount. So I think it looks cute. What do you think? I mean, I think it looks good. Now we just got to figure out how to get this on the wall without causing any damage and put it there and leave it there. That's going to go on this wall behind me, which is going to be the next little bit. So I'm going to have to move some of this stuff out of the way and take you to the wall, raise the tripod up so you can actually see up there. And yeah, so this part of this process is done. And we will move on to the next one. Alrighty, so here we are. I'm gonna continue on this process. Now I had to wind up putting the GoPro, which is this is what I used to film with, putting the GoPro on one of my tripods for my background lights, because it was the only thing that was tall enough to get the camera up high enough to where you could see it, what we were doing properly. So first of all, what I have up here already, as you can see, are two platyceriums. The one on the left, or they're also called staghorn ferns. The one on the left is Platycerium bifurcatum. The one on the right, which I'm fairly certain is dead, it's kind of crispy, was Bifurcatum superbum. I haven't given up on it just yet, but I'm fairly certain that it is dead. But I keep looking at the very center of it, and it doesn't look too bad. Actually, it looks terrible. That's what it looks like. That's why I'm replacing it with something else. Hopefully I can put this outside, and if there's any life left in it, it will bounce back with the warm weather and higher humidity of outside. I may try to leave this one up here, but it's staying a little too dry, I think. But it's still green, and it is putting out some shield fronds, so I'm not going to give up on it just yet. So let me get these out of the way. Okie dokie. So I've got some little drywall screws. There's these tiny little silver screws, and I'm going to try to put them up with these. Now, these guys, I want these to go kind of high on the wall up there. I want to get them as close to that light as I can get them, because they do like bright light. Now there's already a screw up there, and I guess instead of replacing that, I can just tighten it down further. See, it's still gonna lean forwards, and I don't necessarily want that. There we go. That's kind of, well, it'll start growing towards the light if it's not getting enough on that side. I got another one right here, but we might put the dendrobium there. See how that does there. Might have to move it. It may get too much light there. Oh, and forgive the ratty old begonia. It's a very pretty begonia. Ooh, it's very pretty, and it just constantly produces flowers, and it's constantly thirsty. But it's alive and it's growing, so hey, I'm not going to complain. So I guess we want one. I don't necessarily want any sort of pattern, but, and I suppose I could have went out to the van and grabbed my drill, but I use that thing all day long. Let's just do this by hand so my fingers can remember how to use a screwdriver. Let's see which one's next. How about this one? I can get in front of the background light up there. So there we go. What I'm going for is I don't want one to cast a shadow on the other. Which is kind of what I don't want. So, of course, I've got that, pardon the glare, but it was about the only way I could get it to where you could see what I was doing well enough. So we've got two more. And I guess we can go right here. It's kind of like a V-shaped. Ow! My finger. It's not a bleeder. I'm okay. The other good thing about these Tolumnias is they don't really require that much humidity, or they'll do fine without excessive humidity, as long as they get decent watering. They can do without it, supposedly. Supposedly, I have to say that supposedly because I don't know yet. And you can see my piss poor job on the wall. You know, it's one of the bad things about mobile homes is they put these strips up in between each piece of drywall, and they look terrible, but it's to cover up the unevenness of the drywall where it meets. And so, you know, I did the best I could. Whatever, I don't care. Okay, so we got this other decent sized one here. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. It really does. The only downside is this one's, the light kind of diffuses fairly quickly the further away you get. So by the time you get, you know, about hip high away from this light, or, you know, I say 4 feet away from this light, it's only like 30-foot candles. So it's not real strong. That's why I want to get them as close as I can. Okay, we got one left. This one's kind of small. You know what, let me turn this light off, see what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, see what I mean? See how the pots are casting a shadow? So I have to be real careful about that. I mean, the only other option I have is to go... I didn't really want it in a V shape. That wasn't really what I was going for. But it looks like it's going to be the only option. Because if I put the other one... And the downside is if I try to remove that thing I got stuck up there, it's going to take the paint off the wall. Because that's the other thing. This drywall has some sort of super duper non-stick coating. It takes the paint right off the wall. So that's there. That's just there. It's just there. I guess if we kind of did that, it wouldn't be too much in a shadow, but then it's... See, then it's, I'd have to get a step stool every time I want to take them down. And yes, if you haven't been able to tell by now, I have fungus gnats, which is great. Those are always fun to bring to a party. Okay, this, I just don't want it too far away. Let's see if I could put it like right here, that'd be great. But that means I'd have to put a hole through that, or remove it, and patch the paint, which I don't feel like doing. Or just quit bitching and just put it like that. But then this doesn't make sense. Oh, that's gonna drive me insane if I do that. Okay. No, I can't go there. I don't feel like it's gonna get enough light right there. I may have to get another one of these Barina lights and put it next to it. Bring it out a little bit so it kind of covers a bigger area. I mean, it's on the same level with that one. and the shadows that's being cast. Well, we'll try it there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what it looks like. See how it makes it there. If I have to, I'll move them around. So having said that, I will wait before I put the tags I made on the wall, just to see how these are going to handle the light situation. Alright. Okay. Let's turn this back on. What do you think? What do you think? So, let's see if I can bring you up a little bit further. Okay, on that. You're going to be able to hear the ceiling fan because you're really close to it. So that's as high as that'll go. Okay, well, you're at your maximum height there, but there it is. You know, maybe I can put that staghorn down further, because staghorns are a little lower light than the orchids are. So if I could leave it there. Whoop. That's a little better. Right. Well, here it is, tentatively. I may change some things, but these two bare spots were bugging me, so I just put the care sheets that I laminated up on the wall. This one for Tolumnia, the other one for Dendrobium, which is ironic because the Dendrobium's on this side and Tolumnia's on that side, but whatever. I think I like how it looks. It kind of sucks because I get a little bit of a glare off of the backlighting on all of the laminated stuff, but I think with red background, it all looks fairly well. Now, I may have to put some moss on those Tolumnias. They may need moss. They might need it. I don't know. I've got a ceiling fan that's running in here that I could probably turn down to its lowest setting and leave it that way, and it should be okay. But that's it for now. I mean, I think it looks good. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like or dislike, whatever your want may be. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope your life is going great. I hope your life is going in the direction you want it to. And I will see you in the next one.